Marc Miller was very serious when he said he wants to control the number of temporary residents in Canada. This has been obvious from the start of this year by all the changes that he has been making. Now, in the month of May, in a Toronto Star article, it was already established and indicated where Marc Miller was quoted as saying that the changes to the postgraduate work permit are coming and on the horizon, and that these changes will be linked directly to the labor market conditions, as in what is the field of your education versus what are the current labor market priorities. Now, this document that I'm going to talk to you about in this video has a direct relation to this. This article, as you can see, was already published in the month of May, and this document we have only got our hands on to now, but I'm sure this was circulated much earlier. Let's talk about this document in this video.
The proposed reforms to the postgraduate work permit. Now, questionnaire that has been circulated by IRCC to DLIs and provincial governments to discuss the postgraduate work permit changes and reforms has come to light. That's Earl Blenley, that's his account on LinkedIn. That's where he spoke about this yesterday. And it is the same thing, breaking news, right? Breaking huge changes coming. And this was the documentation that was shared by him. So what usually happens before IRCC comes up with any policy, before they come up with any specific changes to the major changes to the policy, they usually go out to the stakeholders. Stakeholders would be people who are directly impacted in terms of organization, who are impacted by those policies and changes. And in this case, this is to do with the DLIs, designated learning institutions, the colleges, the universities, and of course the provincial governments. Now, this questionnaire has been shared with all the DLIs, and their input has been asked for. And it indicates which direction Canada is moving concerning the future of postgraduate work permit program. And the program was last updated in 2008. So it has been 16 long years and that program hasn't been changed. So I guess it's about time, right? Now, the proposed changes are to align the post-graduation work permit program and the eligibility with the labor market needs while reducing the overall volume of postgraduate work permit holders. So they want to reduce those numbers and increase the likelihood that international students have labor market outcomes commensurate with their education and training. So that's the whole point. Now, this is the document on your screen right now. It's postgraduate work permit calibration to labor market needs. I just read that first paragraph for you. And this is being mapped with NOCs. NOCs mean National Occupation Classification Codes. ESDC and IRCC have mapped NOC occupational codes to the programs of study using the classification of instructional programs system. So this mapping has already been done, and this shows that which program of study corresponds to which kind of requirement, or what kind of, for example, if you're working in a specific job, what kind of certifications or what kind of education you require in order to perform that job. So that mapping has already been done. And for example, they've given you a question. They're giving an example of a carpenter here. The carpenter's knock code is mapped to any of these three programs of studies. For example, construction trades, carpentry, woodworking, and woodworking general. So if postgraduate work permit eligibility were restricted based solely on the occupations in shortage and corresponding programs of study, which occupations should be included based on your needs in your area? Now, when it says needs in your area, this question is primarily targeting the provinces, right? And they're telling them that you let us know which occupations are basically in need. Please indicate if there are any occupations in shortage that should have been reflected in the mapping document along with your rationale. So this question primarily, I'm sure, is for the provinces. It cannot be for the colleges. Second one is, what, if any, cohorts should be exempted from these changes, such as Francophone students or graduate degree programs or other? Please indicate the rationale. Again, this probably has to do with the provinces as well as the colleges, where they're asking, is there any specific kind of programs that should not be included in these changes, and they can continue having a postgraduate work permits? Again, this is subject to discussions and rationale as provided. Question number 3 was, should international students be required to demonstrate proof of a job offer aligned with the occupational shortage list in order to hold a postgraduate work permit beyond 1 year? Now, this will probably have a huge impact for those students who are doing a 2-year program, or students who are probably doing a 1 year and a 1 year stacking program. So you do 1 year program, then you do another 1 year program because you want to get a 3-year work permit. Such a change, which is question number 3, is probably going to impact them, because you might be given a 1-year work permit and then you will be expected to show that you have a job offer, which is in an occupation, which is a priority at that point of time. So this is something to, which is going to impact, have a far sweeping impact completely. Fourth one is, should any other eligibility criteria, language, provincial support, etc., apart from a job offer be applied to postgraduate work permit holders seeking to extend their permit past 1 year? Now, I have seen this question past 1 year in question number 3 and 4. So I'm assuming that in most cases, the duration of the work permits is going to be reduced to 1 year. And then from 1 year, if you want an extension after 1 year, then you probably will have to comply with these additional requirements. Fifth one, it says, what is your view of applying these labor market-based changes to postgraduate work permit eligibility to all graduates upon announcement this year? Yeah, but I mean, what does this year means? This year means this year, right? We are in 2024. This document has come to us only now. Now, you see the second part of this. Rather than grandfathering students who are already studying in Canada at the time of implementation. Now, guys, I cannot emphasize the importance of this fifth question enough. Now, basically, grandfathering in this situation means that should this basically go back to the international students? Should this new changes, would this go retrospectively? Would this also impact the students who are currently in a program in Canada? Or would this basically be only for those students who will now be coming to Canada? This fifth question has a huge impact. One, why? Because it says probably this year, right? It doesn't say probably, it says announcements to be made this year. Now, again, I do not know when this year. We are already in the month of June. We have 6 more months to go, approximately 7 months to go. And when do these changes come into play? I don't know. But if these changes are grandfathered, then that's where the issue is. Will the current students be included in these changes or not? That is where a huge impact, that is where the explosion is going to happen. You can imagine the stress level that the students are already in with all these changes that have been happening. And now with these changes, so my suggestion, if you are a student who is doing a business program and you are preparing or planning to take another 1 year of program, then get rid of the business program first, because business programs, I assure you, will be those programs which will get impacted the most. They will get culled like nobody's business. So fifth, you've already seen. Sixth is, how often should the occupational shortage list be revised? And at what point thereafter should it be applied to student whose study is underway? Again, a very important one, right? For example, you are already based on these occupational lists. You have chosen your program. Now you are studying. And in the middle of the year, they now revise that list of occupations and now they give you a different list. What is going to happen to you, right? So this sixth one is extremely important. I can understand how it can impact the students. I mean, this can leave you high and dry in middle of nowhere. Like suddenly you are going in one direction and now they say, okay, we will not give you work permits, or we will give you a shorter duration of work permit unless you are studying this. So I think fifth and sixth have a huge impact. Seventh says, do the changes to the postgraduate work permit being explored align with the profile of candidates you would like to remain working in your jurisdiction in the long term? I think that has to do with the provinces. Again, they probably are going to explore more about how the profile of the candidates look like. Eighth one is your PNP positioned to offer a viable pathway to permanent residence for international graduates with job offers in these key sectors? Are there any gaps between the labor market needs that you have identified with your PNP's existing streams? Will any PNP stream amendment be required to ensure they remain responsive to graduates and postgraduate work permit holders in specific occupations? Again, a lot to do with the PNP programs, a lot to do with for the provinces to respond to and answer in terms of the streams. So as much as this was circulated to DLIs, designated learning institutions, and to the provinces, I think most of these questions are something that the provinces will be looking to answer, except for a couple of them where I guess DLIs will have a huge role to play. And I hope whoever are the stakeholders here are taking a very responsible approach in understanding, especially clause number 5. I mean, clause number 5 is already giving me shivers, because if if they are not going to be grandfathering students who are already studying in Canada at the time of implementation, this is going to be a big one, right? And also the fact that fifth one says this announcement this year also tells you that these changes you can anticipate at any point of time within this year. So this tells you how quickly the changes are being made, how quickly Marc Miller is willing to implement this. Toronto Star has already done an article on this. It has been published this morning. It was updated 2 hours ago. So yes, it is the same document that they are referring to. Nicholas Kyung is a great immigration reporter, and he has a lot of information on what's happening. And it's the same document that they're referring to. The link for this article is also in the description box, so you don't have to really worry about it. You can obviously take a look at it and read about it. And also just the same thing, what I've spoken to you about, it's a bigger explanation or a wider explanation of the same thing, and talks about the same 8 questions. 8 questions are all here. You can also take a look at those questions if you are wondering how you can get a copy of this document. So you can also take a look at this article and probably have another perspective to it. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for joining in. It was lovely doing this. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's important, right? I want to make some more money. As somebody was asking me how much money I make from YouTube. And of course, do follow us on Instagram. If you wish to make an appointment for your questions, for your answers, one-on-one, we can discuss what's happening with your application. Then this is the link. By all means, please book a consultation, and we'll be happy to take that on. And if you are interested in paid services in terms of your application handling, then of course, I am a CICC licensed migration consultant, and that's what I do for a living. So that's the email. Drop us an email, and we'll be very happy to take a look at your your application, and hopefully help you with that.